I think you see the... Welcome back!
We know we're shit.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the Daily Drift.
Okay guys, so as you can tell, it's another day. So this is D-Day. He gets in today at 4. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. Had to run some errands. I managed to find an AutoZone that's open 24 hours a day. Can you believe that? Like, they've been open a year and I didn't even know they existed. This could have saved me so many times. And it's a hub. But anyway, so the problem was the gasket, the head gasket that we had was already applied to the head when we first did it in a previous video. And I looked at it and I was like, maybe we can reuse it, but there were some spots that were kind of questionable. And I was like, man, I don't want to risk it. For a $40 part, it's not worth putting on there just to have it not sealed properly. And then I was like, well, I bought this engine rebuild gasket set thing, but I'm not really impressed with the quality of all the gaskets. Some of them don't fit quite right, but you know, I mean, what do you expect for 60 bucks? And I thought, well, maybe I can use their head gasket. It's a big no-no. So I got the gasket and it was bent. Let me show you. That's basically garbage. You can't use that. It's a metal gasket, so once it's bent like that, it's bent. And it's not gonna seal properly. It just wasn't gonna work. But luckily, AutoZone actually came through first on this one. So thank you, AutoZone. We do appreciate you. They had one gasket left. The one gasket that I needed too. So we managed to get it. So I'm gonna go spray this thing with copper. We're gonna use this. It's a Felpro OEM style gasket. Now I know people in the comments are gonna be like, oh, why don't you get Cometic? And yes, Cometic is good. It's also like $100 to $150 depending on the brand, and we'd have to wait on shipping. So, you know, if we ever do need it, eventually a head gasket's not that hard to do. We could do that later. But for right now, we just want to get it back up and running, and this gasket's perfectly fine for the amount of power we're running right now. So just that way we can get that out of the air. Alright, so I'm gonna go spray this, and then we'll get the engine ready to put the head on. Okay, so guys, we're gonna use this copper spray here. It's nothing too crazy. Basically, we're just gonna lay a couple coats on here, and all it's gonna do is help it seal a little bit better. You don't have to do this, but I like doing it. It's a nice little safety step. Good thing to do. Now we just wait like another 5 minutes or so. We're just waiting for the chemicals from the spray can to basically evaporate. It doesn't have to be completely dry, and then we'll be able to put it on there. So guys, while that thing's out there drying, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on getting the top of this engine clean. Basically, we're just gonna get rid of any surface, oil or anything that's on there that shouldn't be. We're gonna make it perfectly clean. We're gonna inspect the cylinder bores, make sure that they're good. I'm gonna get, oh my God, I'm over here dying. So before we actually put the head on, because when we do that, we're basically sealing everything up, I'm going to make sure that there's absolutely nothing inside those chambers. And also I'm going to get #1 cylinder to top dead. That'll just make it easier for setting the base timing and getting the cam set properly. Just a little trick that's going to help you out if you're doing this. Man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get this thing done. So let's get it going. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the crank ever so slightly. Slowly turn this just enough to get it to about top dead. It's about top dead right there. Beautiful. Top dead #1. It's not necessarily more accurate, it's just easier. It's gonna make my life a lot simpler when it comes to putting this thing back together. And now I'm just making sure that I'm going to wipe every little piece down, make sure there is nothing to potentially cause any kind of issue with the gasket. So that's the next step. Spraying brake cleaner onto the towel so that way I can do this and be a little bit more careful about not spraying too much, because I don't want to get rid of the oil inside the cylinders, because that's going to help protect it during the initial break-in. But I do want to get all this stuff off of any of the mating surfaces for the head. It's almost a shame that we're not going to get to see these pistons once this thing's sealed up. They're beautiful. Now if you're just doing a head gasket, so if you came here and you're just doing a head gasket, you want to chase all these holes. I've already chased them just by using a cleaner, and I cleaned everything with a brush. So these holes for all the bolts, all the threads are good. You just want to make sure that they're completely clean so that way you don't risk, you know, cross threading or getting a bad torque reading and then lifting the head. You don't want that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna blow it out with some compressed air and just make sure we get everything off of there. Okay, so now we should be good. No more lint, no nothing. It's perfectly clean, no oil. So now we can put the gasket on there, but before we do that, I'm gonna clean the cylinder head. So guys, as you can see, I got the cylinder head here, and I need to spray it out with brake clean and stuff like that, because there's all kinds of little material that's left over from the machining process. I'm gonna spray this out real quick, and then we'll move forward. Okay, now it's coming out pretty clean. It's good. Just spray around the back side of it. And now I'm just spraying inside where the valves are. Ooh, ooh, damn, that burns. Got some on my titty. Woo! Alright, and now I'm just gonna take it and use the air on it. Alright guys, this is moment of truth. We got the gasket. It's dry-ish, but dry enough. The varnish is all gone, so it's all nice and ready to go. So now we just got to be careful because this gasket only goes on one way, and we got to make sure that we do it right. So I actually have it upside down. Okay. So we're looking to make sure we got all our holes lined up, and now that we got this, we're just going to slowly, carefully put this on. The dowels, and boom. We're on there. So when you're looking at this is the head gasket. You got this spot over here is a good identifier of how it goes. You can see because it's got that oil line going through there. You got your dowel pins over there. Yeah, so that's basically how you get that on there. Next we're going to take that little sucker down there and pop it up. Okay guys, this is the moment of truth. Moment we've all been waiting for. Well, at least I've been waiting for. I hope you guys have. So we got to find the front of this. And we're going to place the front. Seeing some stuff on here I don't like. Okay, I blew it out again. It looks about perfect, and now I'm going to line this up as best as I possibly can. So, whoo-wee, moment of truth. Let's not screw this up. Okay? Everything's good, perfectly clean. Just very careful. I think one of my dowel pins is off. Yeah, this dowel pin's messed up. Oh, no. There we go. Got it. Okay, we're on. Okay, we're on. Woo! Man, that was frightening. Oh, I was scared there for a second, but we're good. We're on. Gasket's on. So next is we just gotta run the bolts through. So we'll put those on, torque this puppy down. So when we go to torque this, we're just gonna do 20, 40, 60. I'm sure you guys have seen us do that before. I'm just gonna do it real quick. Just it's a snail pattern. I'll show you the pattern real fast, and then just gonna do it like 3 times. Also, you gotta soak the bolts in oil, so get the threads and under the heads of the bolts coated in oil. And then after that, it's good. So let's do it. So if we're looking at it, so you can see like there's the front 2 cam spots. There's the back of the engine, and then here is the torquing pattern. And then we're just gonna do 20, 40, and 60 foot-pounds, and we should be good. Hey, just so you guys know, I've been looking all over the place for this. These things are a funky ass looking bolt, and it's a 12-point star on a 12mm socket. So make sure you get one of those. I'll put it in the description beforehand so you guys won't have the problem I did. Alright, so that's that, guys. So we got the head on there, it's completely torqued down, so that's One less thing to have to worry about. So the next thing that we got to do is we got to get all our HLAs in here and our cams. The HLAs I've had soaking in a bath over the past like 4 days. Make sure you soak your HLAs because they need to be completely permeated with oil. And then we need to make sure we put them in the exact slots that they've been in. I had already labeled all of them previously, so should be pretty easy. So we'll put the HLAs in, then we'll put the cams in, and we'll just go from there. Good thing I took a picture of this with my phone before I actually just left it there, because the oil erased all of the markings that I had. So yeah, but it's all good. I got a picture on my phone, and we're going to use that to put these in. Some people might use new ones, but mine were all good, so we're just going to keep using them. Also, they're going to go on the old cams anyway, so it's better this way. These are our old ones, and the way that you would check to see if they were bad. So this little plunger in here, if you can squeeze that by hand, that's how you know whether or not your lifter is good or bad. All these were fine. You also want to look on the sides for any excessive scoring. You can see here this one has some, but it's not completely terrible, and we weren't really having any problems with our lifters. In the future we might replace these, but for right now they're fine. We're going to just put them in there. I actually put that in the wrong hole. Goes in this hole. There we go, that's better. So now I'm just going to go and fill them up. I like how this whole side's all like E, E1, E2, E3. It's like the enlisted side. There we go. Alright, so next, we're just going to make sure that my cam journals and everything like that's nice and clean. And then we're going to take the camshaft and lube that sucker up really, really nice. With some assembly lube, and then we'll lay it in here. So you want to make sure you put the right camshaft on the right side, and if you look, Mazda was smart. So Mazda was really smart, and they put on each one right there, it says intake, and the other one says exhaust. So it's IN as intake, but also the intake has this it has this notch on the back because that's where the cam angle sensor goes. So that notch is basically the intake one, and it's so you know that that's where the cam angle goes. So I'm going to put some assembly lube on everything, lube all these things up, and then plop the cams in. Okay, here we go. I'm just making sure that I get a good amount of this coverage because this stuff is going to protect it when it initially breaks in. I mean, these things are technically already broken in. It's just more insurance than anything. Alright, we got the cam all lubed up. We're just going to pop this sucker in here very carefully. May have to rotate a little bit to get it to line up where we want it, but we're in there. Right now we got this on here, so now I'm going to put the other one on and lube it up. Okay, this stuff is like super goopy. This Hulk jizz is just terrible. I mean, it's amazing, but it's just like, it gets everywhere. Holy shit. And I probably shouldn't be touching it with bare hands. It's probably really stupid, but, you know, hey, I make mistakes. Okay. So the lifters are keeping the camshaft lifted up a little bit. So when we go to put the caps on, it should pull everything tight, but that's why we got to follow the bolt pattern specifically. So we'll do that next. So guys, each of these things are labeled. They say either I1, I2, I3, or E2, E3. So make sure you keep those in order. This is the front of the block, and it goes all the way to the back. Okay, so now we're just going to put the caps on, and then we'll do the torque sequence. So guys, one thing I forgot to mention, one thing before you put these caps on here is you want to make sure that you put a thin layer of sealant right on these surfaces, but don't get it in here. Just on these excess parts up in here. I'll show you real quick. It's not that difficult, but it's a very important piece. I almost totally forgot to do that, so we're going to do that real quick. Okay, so we're just going to take a little bit of our sealant, just like a dab, just a little dot on this side. And keep it off of the bearing surface. Do not get it on the bearing surface. And we're just gonna very lightly apply it on here. We don't want too much because we don't want it spreading out and getting onto the bearings like what I just did there. We don't want that. It's gonna help prevent leaks. That's all it's doing. It's pretty uniform, really thin. You can see you don't need too much. Just need just enough. It's just enough to hold it there, so it should be good. Okay guys, so now I'm going to torque these down. The specification's from 100 inch-pounds to 125 inch-pounds, and we do it in stages. So I'm gonna start and we're gonna do the bolt pattern and just slowly bolt these things up. Also, make sure all your arrows are facing towards the front of the engine. So that's important when we're doing this. And it's in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as far as the caps go. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you real quick. This is a nifty little trick for installing the cam seals. So there's a couple different things you can do. FORGED Miata sells a tool, but it's like 30 bucks plus shipping. Why do that when you can just take your seal and you take a big ass socket and it's basically the same thing that they're selling you. So yeah, there's a little trick for you. So all we're going to do is we're just going to lube these up, pop them on here, and we should be pretty good. So you just gotta lube up the these spots here just a little bit, because you don't want them going on dry. Nobody likes a dry gasket. Take each of our cam seals on here. We'll put it as flush in there as we can, and then what we'll do is we'll use a hammer basically to drive on the rest. So get those in there pretty decent, pretty straight. Then you just take this and just lightly tap it in. Easy as pie. Alright, so that, my friends, is how you save yourself about $35. So I just used, this was just a 36 mil socket, but every socket manufacturer is different, so you just have to find one that's close to the same size as the seal that you're using, and it's easy as pie. If you don't feel comfortable using a hammer, you could still manage to run a bolt through that, and you'd basically put the bolt through there and it would pull it on. So you could do that as well. Just be very careful not to hit your camshafts. You don't want to hit your camshafts. But if you're careful, it goes on pretty smooth. Save some money. So guys, it's getting down to the wire here. It's now about noon. We still got to get the intake on. I'm not going to be able to get the exhaust side on because we need a new gasket for that, but I want to at least get the intake, maybe the front cover and the top cover, just so that way it looks like an engine when he gets here. But I'm really excited about this, guys, so we're almost there. We're almost there, so let's get this finished up and keep moving forward. Okay guys, so now I'm going to show you, we're going to do the cam gears. Make sure you put your intake one on there and your exhaust on the right side. So this is the intake one, we're going to pop it on there. It's got a little locator, so that's what we're going to use to locate this on there and make sure we put it in the right spot. So these gears are identical, but the big thing about these gears is that when you go to put them on, we're putting them on the same side we had them on, but the key is, you see these locator pins? You want these facing up when the piston is at top dead center. So if you remember, we put it top dead center earlier, so it's already there. So we want these as close to center at the top as we can. And then what you're going to do is you're going to look on your timing. So then you're going to look on your timing thing and locate and see if it says I or if it says E. And depending on what it says, depends on which sprocket you put it on or which camshaft you put it on. So for us, our intake is on this side, exhaust is on this side. I'm going to do the intake side, and I'm going to place it with the eye facing up. Just like so. And then we're just going to tighten our bolt on there. Okay, and then we'll repeat for the other side. Alright, so then we'll just pop this one on here. Line it up as best we can, and then we'll run the bolt through. Cool, now we just need to torque them. Okay guys, so here's a trick for if you're trying to do this and you need to locate the cams and lock them in place. So use a 15/16 and an adjustable wrench, and there's a spot here where it can clamp onto. We got one clamped over there, and then I hold the rest up with a vice grip. And that locks them in place instead of paying for that super expensive part that goes in between there. So now instead of spending that money on the expensive ass piece, we can do it this way and save some money. It's 37 to 44 foot-pounds. So we're just going to go with 40, call it nice and even. Boom. There we go. So that's that. Okay, so now what we got to do is we got to line up. So you can see there's a timing mark there, E. we need to match this E up with that. And then on this side we got an I and an I. So we just got to line those up. So the I on this one will be straight up, E on that will be straight up, and then I and E. So guys, we just ran into something pretty bad. So on this crankshaft pulley, there is a bolt that's broke off in the front of it. So we need a new crankshaft pulley for the timing portion. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to get the belt on, but that's okay. Like with everything that we've gotten done, that's a huge win. And this wasn't about doing a timing belt. You guys can watch another video for that. That's not what this is about. Yeah, so I'm gonna take this pulley off. I'm gonna let Austin know when he gets here. Just be like, look, we need a new one of these crank pulleys. I can't get one right now, but it's a pretty easy fix. But I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm just gonna pull this off, set it aside. Well, let's get the intake on and maybe the top valve cover just so it looks like an engine. And I think this is probably going to be good enough. I think he'll be pretty impressed with what we managed to get done in such a short time. And I'm so excited to see this thing run again. Oh man, it's going to be awesome. So guys, that's all I'm going to get done today. I'm pretty much out of time. I got like 30 minutes and then I got to go get him and pick him up. His valve cover is kind of trash and I'm out of brake clean. So this is as far as I'm going to go. And as far as with the engine, we'll just see what his response is when he sees it. Let's see how it goes. I hope you're happy, Austin, because this was a lot of work. So now you get to finish the rest of it. No, but it's all good though, guys. It's all good. We're getting there one day at a time, one step at a time. So guys, as it turned out, Austin actually already got a ride. My mom picked him up, and she's bringing him over here. So we're gonna surprise him. I'm sitting in the garage. I think I might have just heard him pull up. But when he pulls up, I'm gonna open the garage and see if we can get his reaction. Got a little clicker for the garage. I don't know if it works. Let's hope so. So let's see if we can surprise him. I think he sees us. Welcome back.
Yeah, like the do?
Yeah, I see it's a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
So they make you cut that?
Possibly.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they said it wasn't tapered enough. So they brought me to the barber.
I figured they would end up cutting it.
They didn't give me an option, they just buzzed it. So.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
How
well,
you doing?
welcome back.
Sorry, I got this in. How's you been around here?
Good. I actually got a surprise for you.
Surprise?
Yeah, you
know
might.
Anything?
I think I do.
Yeah, she probably does.
Also, real quick, unrelated. Do you have a car I can
You
drive?
sound like you've been yelling.
A lot. Do we have a car I
the
can drive?
BMW.
Oh, it's drivable?
So is the Camaro.
What did you do? You got the suspension?
Yeah, I got it all set up.
And Apollo's still here, right?
He's still inside. He's still inside.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
You organized too, I noticed.
Oh, I did more than organize.
Jeez. Oh, so you did spray paint it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
But this is the real
Oh,
surprise.
it's got man.
Yeah, that's the real surprise.
Dad had something to do with that, didn't he?
Yeah. So,
So it's like fully built now.
Yeah, it's pretty much fully built. It's pretty much done.
How long did this take you?
Dude, probably
Every
a long,
day
long
for-
time.
Practically.
A lot of work.
Even with school and everything?
Yeah, but we got it all knocked out. So. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Been-
I figured I'd save you a little bit of stress because I know how these things can be.
Yeah. Not only that, this time I was gone was pretty stressful, as
Oh, I
you can
bet.
imagine.
I bet.
So now this motor, if I'm correct, could probably stand about like 250, 300.
The rods are rated up to 600 horsepower.
Oh my god.
But the other stuff would go before that. So
they're manly.
They're manly. Yeah, you get it. Okay, I pulled a pun about that earlier. Yeah, no, they're manly
it looks
rods.
so good too.
Which is just ironic because they're manly in a Miata.
I think your choice choice of doing the paint when you asked. Yeah, it looks.
You like
so much
it?
better.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's gonna look real good with a red valve cover too.
Yeah. Well, that was the other reason I didn't put the valve cover on
Is it
yet.
dry? Can I touch it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's dry.
I think
So I think he likes it.
Yeah.
I think
No, I feel bad because you did all this work while. I was
No,
gone,
it's,
but-
you're good. I think the dogs miss you though. Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Oh, he's going nuts. Look at him. I think he missed you. Oh, no, he's going over there, and he's back over there, and he's over here. He doesn't know where he's going. Oh my God.